Say thank you for coming out. As Father Joe said, there's beautiful people here on Friday. Thanks to all of you. But tonight we're going to be giving a talk by our very own beautiful people here at Goretti, Megan and Lisa. If you can help give me or welcome them and give me a round of applause. These two lovely ladies. They just mean the world to me. When I first came to Goretti, I didn't know what it was about. I didn't understand what the group was, what the organization did. And these two ladies received me with so much love, warmth, acceptance, that it just allowed me to just kind of let down my guard and the journey that I was going through. And it allowed me to just kind of allow God to do whatever it was that He was doing in my life to unfold with this organization. And you guys are going to get to see firsthand the kind of love and warmth that the Goretti group has to offer through the two angels that you're going to hear speak tonight. They're angels. Love them to death. You'll never find anybody that's more compassionate, more just the love that they show and they give to everybody here. They're so dedicated in the message and the mission of Goretti. So without further ado, please help me welcome Megan and Lisa.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Megan, and this is Angel Lisa over here. I am not the angel. She is, though. And like Catalina said, or maybe she didn't mention it, I don't know. We are staff at the Goretti group, so we work for the Goretti group. And not only are we staff here, but we are the staff. So this is it. It's just me and Lisa. And usually, if you haven't been to one of these before, I think I've met a couple of you, this is your first time. Usually we bring in like a guest speaker or someone else from our own community to give a talk about, you know, a witness talk or talk about chastity and talk about our mission. But this month, it's Lisa and I, and so this is a little bit different, and I'm sorry to disappoint you, no guest speakers, just our ordinary selves. But the reason we are here, we've been very excited to do this because we are the ones in the office every day. We're the ones praying for this community. And this mission, this group's mission, is like so in our hearts. We definitely don't work here for the money. It's so much more than that to us. And yet at the same time, we realize that chastity and our mission, like Catalina said, is sometimes so misunderstood. And we wanted to get up here again and just re-inspire our community, young adults to young adults, friends to friends, the people working here to the people who we're praying for, and just remind you how awesome this mission is and re-inspire you, as well as Lisa towards the end. I'm going to kind of do the first part of that, and Lisa's going to do the second part, and what she's going to do is share with you some really new, exciting things that are in the Goretti group's future that we've been too excited to hold inside ourselves in the office anymore. And so this is the grand revelation. And there aren't many of you here this evening. Usually the hall is much more full than this, so this is great. That means you have to go back out to your workplace and to your family and to all the rest of those kiddos who chose to go to the St. Bridget retreat this weekend and tell them what they missed. And one last thing you may have seen on maybe the Facebook event or our newsletter, that we wanted to call this event 33 Things You Always Wanted to Know About Chastity But Never Asked. And we named it that because, well, a friend of ours suggested 33, and then that just seems to be like the way to do it these days, like with BuzzFeed and like those movie pictures. So we did that to get you to be here, and I don't know if it worked, but we are going to give you 33 things But more, they're going to be 33 things from our heart, why this is important to us, and what the Goretti group is all about. So we hope you'll enjoy, and with that, we wanted to start with clearing the air. We're going to clear up some misconceptions here before we go into what chastity is and what we're about. These are some common misconceptions about chastity, and this is kind of for a laugh, but kind of not also. I mean, a lot of people think this way, myself including. I was one of them at one point. So number one, this is actually, this picture here, if you can see it at the bottom, this is a snapshot from my computer screen. This is the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of chastity. And it reads, the state of not having sex with anyone. I am happy to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that chastity does not always involve abstinence, which is this. Abstinence can be very beautiful. Not everyone is called to that state of life. Chastity is not abstinence. Those are two different things. Okay. Number two, chastity is not boring. We'll get to why that is. We are not standing up here like holier than thou. That is not what the Goretti group is about. This chastity is for everyone, so it's not for a select few. It's not old-fashioned. I'll never, ever forget my 85-year-old religion teacher, Mrs. Huffman, in 8th grade. Basically, it was the first time I heard like the sex talk, and I was mortified. Mrs. Huffman told me that chastity, again, was like, I think she probably had good intentions. For me, chastity at the time was not having sex, but I interpreted it to be forever and for only old people, since she was saying that. And so I resisted this message until like as long as I possibly could, and then God brought me back. But chastity is not old-fashioned. I mean, I hope that's obvious. I'm 23, Lisa's 25, and we're all about it. Chastity is not a repressive thing. It's not like repressing fun or like repressing passion or any of that. Not at all. And chastity is not like sex is bad. We're not like the Puritans here, where we separate the spirit from the body and everything that has to do with the body is bad. No, no, no. That's not what chastity is about. Okay, so what chastity is about, we're going to get into the real bulk of the talk now. Like I said, chastity is very misunderstood. I can stand up here today saying that I'm like enduring a lot of ridicule still from my cafeteria Catholic family, my dad in particular, for what I'm doing here. He doesn't understand what chastity is, even though I've tried to explain it multiple times. So it's understood. Hopefully we can convey properly to you tonight. It's for everyone, like I said, young, old, religious, not religious, married, single, everybody. And chastity is about joy, peace, truth. It's the truth, capital T, and love. It's for passionate people. I always joke, like, I wouldn't be for anything that's not passionate. Like, I like to, like, throw my hands in the air and, like, Lisa knows, like, clap and, like, bang on walls. And I'm like, this is not, like, I will not settle for anything boring. And I have not settled for this. I'm like living this out because it's for passionate people. And it truly, I didn't know it at the time that it was chastity, but my discovery of what it is has been powerful, and it's literally transformed my life. And with that, I'm going to kind of tell you how it has transformed my life in hopes to show you why I'm standing here today with so much college debt from USD and still doing this. Because I love you guys and I love our community. And like, thank you. I wish my dad was here. See that? But yeah, so I want to tell you kind of a sad story, but it's not a sad story because I'm here now. And but I hope that what I can say about myself and what I've been through, because I think it's what so many, I think it's like the typical girl experience. I hope it's not. I mean, that's sad for me to say, but I just feel like too many girls and too many guys go through what I went through. And so I'm going to share that with you, and hopefully you can see how it relates to what we do. So my story is, I'm going to start in high school. So this is Megan, circa 17 years old, not that long ago actually. Up in North County, Escondido, California. I went to a public high school. And this story is going to start in high school because, and while looking back, I realized that it was really in high school, like, we start to decide what we want for ourselves. For me, I think it was really like when I got my driver's license that I decided what I want for myself because I could decide to go to church or to not go to church. I was making other decisions though, like if I believed in God or if I didn't believe in Him, if I would pray or if I would not pray, if I would obey the 10 Commandments or if I thought it was a bunch of baloney. And I didn't actually think through this at the time, but looking back, again, I see that how I made all my decisions, which I thought was a pretty normal way of doing it, was I based all my decisions in my life about, like, on this question, will it make me happy? I mean, like, that's pretty normal. And for me, like, I had asked for a golden retriever puppy for like 12 years from God and never gotten one. And so this was my thinking pattern. I mean, that's a silly example, but like God didn't have my best interest in mind. And so I kind of just like didn't think it was that important and pushed it to the side and did my own thing most of the time, unless it made me happy. Like if like honoring my father and mother if there was something in it for me, like, okay, I'd roll with that. So that being said, yeah, I mean, I wasn't that close to Jesus. So I'm in high school. I did everything that I thought would make me happy. I worked really hard to get good grades. I played sports, got on the starting five, made varsity. So it was kind of like I succeeded in a lot of these things. One thing that I thought I could never succeed in was being beautiful. Like, I was super smart. I was super athletic at the time. And like, this was just the one thing. Like, I remember hearing my guy friends, like, not snicker, they would talk about it quite openly at like the lunch tables at high school, and like a girl would walk by and they would say like to each other, I'd be nearby so I'd hear them, but they would say to each other like, yeah, like she's a 8 or something. Like, they give a girl a number ranking, and like that is so, like, guys give number rankings to everything, like the lasagna, the weather, their mood, but a girl, and in the pit of my stomach always I was just like, I'll never be a 10. Like, I know I'm not, because I'm not the girl on the cover of the Cosmo magazine, the Target checkout line. Like, I just wasn't. And I kind of knew I never could be, or something. But anyways, what happened is, like, I'd work so hard to like plan my meals and plan my workouts, everything. Boom, 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 boom. Tan before prom, everything. I mean, you name it. Whatever cover of Cosmo magazine was telling me to do, I'd do it. And like, I thought I succeeded at the time, I guess. Okay, and the reason I thought that is because, lo and behold, a gentleman walked into my life, and I was like so in love with him. He was like the bad boy on my high school campus. Like, he had like a tattoo, he had a motorcycle, he was the quarterback of the football team. No joke. I was like, wow, I am doing something right. Like, this is working, and I am in love. Oh my gosh, Megan. But yeah, so I mean, I thought everything was so great. Like, he'd bring me hot chocolate during finals week and come to my parents' house and like, whatever, bring me flowers, ask me to prom at the airport on the way back from college. Like, everything, I just thought like, oh my God, it doesn't get any better than this. And I mean, I thought that, but then in another sense, the weird thing was, which is a point I'm trying to make here, is that the insecurities that I had to try to be the supermodel didn't go away once I started to date that guy. Even though like he acted like he cared about me, I was the center of his attention most of the time, those insecurities didn't go away because I thought like if I didn't work out or dropped my routine didn't put on my makeup or even like fix my hair when he'd come over and I was in my sweatpants, that he would leave me. And I was like, I didn't want that to happen. Like, right? So the insecurities didn't go away. And on top of that, at this time, my family situation was like a mess. My parents were separating. My mom was suicidal and very depressed. Like, I'd get text messages from her, you know, on like a Saturday afternoon, like, Megan, if you don't come home tonight, I'm gonna hang myself off the back deck. And so that night, I would go and like many weekends, I would go and I would spend the night at his house because I was like, I'm not dealing with that. That's crazy. So, and he was a huge comfort to me. He was a huge comfort. And I'd spend the night, like a couple days in a row and then again and again. And to me, I saw no problem with that because this was whatever Leonardo DiCaprio and his girl were doing in The Notebook, and I was like, this is great, you know? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it, you know, like, it felt good, I felt comfortable, it was fun. I mean, what was wrong with this? Seriously. And so that continued, but still, like, sometimes I didn't feel good enough, like he'd leave me, or, you know, my insecurities still kind of continued, but the comfort was still there. And so, and a couple other things I wanted to say too was, well, I'll leave that. Okay, so, so to make a long story short, what ended up happening was, I mean, we found out after a while that we didn't have actually that much in common as we thought we first did. And we went away to college, and coming back on college, like for breaks and such, wasn't so great anymore because they were just breaks, and the relationship kind of fell into the cracks. Like and we broke up. And I'll never forget the day we were broken up, but the day that this gentleman posted on his Facebook that he was in a relationship with another girl. Because right away, I was like, oh no, like I knew her. Like I'd seen him, you know, we'd be driving in his car and the iPhone would light up, and I'd like, you know, suddenly try to like check who it was without him seeing. And it was like this girl, and you know, he always had like the Sports Illustrated calendars up on his wall, like permanently on August. And it would be like January and February and March, and I would like flip them back at least to like a different picture. And he'd always flip back to August. And so I kind of like knew this was coming, like with the girl and like again, me not being good enough. But like the day it happened, I was so, like I felt sick to my stomach. It was terrible. And I remember like taking a snapshot of it. It was like Facebook on my phone. This really wasn't that long ago, was it? I was like Facebook on my phone, I took a snapshot and I sent it to my dad with no words. Just sent him the picture. And my dad didn't know the full extent of what was going on, but he knew that my heart was broken. And I needed that consolation from somebody. I felt like after that relationship ended, the chick flicks thing and like the eating ice cream does not work. I don't know, does it for anyone else? Because it didn't for me. I felt like I could find no consolation. The world had been telling me to like do all these things, like go have fun, you know, look like this, sleep at his house, you know, and I'm like, this is how heartbreak feels? Seriously? People go through this more than one time? I was like, no way. So my heart was broken and I was empty and I didn't have anything. I was just like, I hate everybody and I'm never gonna get over this. And I was so just like sad, so sad. I'd cry and cry and cry. And one day I'm like, all right, God, are you out there? I'm like, because I don't even know if you exist, but like, this is terrible. And if you do, I need you. And like all of a sudden, I'm not kidding. Like the next couple days, I continued to pray that, and I felt like the psalm today said, God is close to the brokenhearted. And I didn't even know I believed in God. It was so cool. But I was like, whoa. It was the first consolation, like the first peace I felt in like a couple weeks. And from that moment on, I kind of trusted God. I'm like, I think you're there. I think you are. And so that began my journey back towards the Lord. But it took a long time. It was not overnight for sure. I went through a lot of soul searching and like, I'm an atheist, to I'm a Christian, to I'm a Protestant, to I'm a Catholic, back to like I'm a Buddhist. I mean, I was all over the place. And, but I kind of still kept praying and trying to get to know who God was. And I ended up with a book in my hands. And the book talked about confession, which I was like, that was one of those things, like, I don't know about this. I gotta read this book because I don't think confession's for me, and I don't know what I am or if any of it's important at all. But I was just searching, like I still felt like I was missing something that I was supposed to have, because what the world had wasn't doing me any good. So in this book was this number 14, St. Paul's words from Romans, his letter to the Romans. For the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. And mostly the wages of sin is death part. And I was like, and I had a commentary on this verse. And basically what the commentary said was, well, this is what my interpretation of it is. I can't remember exactly. But it said like, the wages of sin is death, not because God wants to kill you with his lightning bolts from heaven if you disobey his rules. The wages of sin is death, because sin is choosing to separate yourself from God, who is the source of life. Like he made us. And God, the source of love. And so your soul literally dies. And I was just like, man, I've never heard that way before. But like, all I knew was that had happened to me. I knew the 10 Commandments. I knew I was supposed to be sleeping over at that guy's house. And that it was a sin, but I was like, sin. The word sin didn't mean anything to me until I saw this. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, my soul is dead, because I feel dead. Like I'm alive, everyone thinks I'm doing fine, but I am not. My soul is slowly dying. And after that, I went to confession for the first time in like 7 years. Confessed everything. Still didn't know exactly like what I was doing, but I just like had a feeling that it was right. And after that confession, that was only like 2 years ago now, everything changed. I'm not kidding you. Like I don't know what happened. My friends are giggling because like they knew me after that. So I mean, my soul was seriously washed clean. And the way I think of it now is like I couldn't see anything. Like I couldn't see because my soul was so black with sin. I didn't know it was black with sin because I didn't think it was sinning, but it was. And after this, I was like, the heavens were opened. I was like, oh my gosh, like chastity, I get it. Or I was like, it's slowly, I started to get it. And so then after that, I wanted to know more because I felt like I could see more clearly. And so I stumbled upon one day Christopher West, who is a theology of the body speaker. I know a lot of you have probably heard of him. I would highly recommend his CDs if you want to know, like it pierced me to the heart. He explained it so well. He explained that femininity, true femininity, like being a woman, is not trying to be the woman on the cover of Cosmo magazine. It's not trying to be someone who you're not. And I was like, well, what the heck does that mean? Like, why? And he said, because you're already beautiful. And I was like, okay, I don't understand that. I'm not beautiful. Clearly, you know, Cosmo doesn't say I am. So he continued to explain that, no, you are, not because of the way you feel one day to the next, but because God, who is the most beautiful, all-knowing, infinitely worthy being that ever was, made you. And you are a thought of him. And just because of that, and no other reason, you are beautiful. That's what being made in his image and likeness means. Like before I was like, made in his image and likeness, I don't care what that means. But this, I got it. And I was like, wow, I don't know, even the, you know, and that's why our culture has so many problems with like accepting what life is valuable. Is life in the womb valuable? Well, I don't know, is it valuable to me? Is it convenient for me? Well, no, it's not about that. It's just like the inherent value that we have. So being a woman in your beauty and where you find comfort. Like I was trying to find comfort in this guy and sleeping over there and all, you know, my attention from people, how many, you know, free throw shots I made. Comfort doesn't come from that. It comes from one thing, and that is the Lord Jesus, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I was like, dang, okay. And then like your beauty. Well, why are men so obsessed with our beauty? Why do I need to try to improve it to get their attention? Well, your beauty, Megan, Christopher West told me, from JP2, told him, that your beauty is like a sign of the most beautiful thing ever. Because once again, you're made in his image and likeness. So your beauty to the man that you will marry one day will be a sign to him every day of God. And your body is supposed to be a total gift to him and no one else, because it's so special. And so this is not about no sex or, you know, this is about beauty. And I learned that masculinity, you know, the desire that men have to like be big and strong and men, you know, is because they're supposed to be warriors. They're supposed to be heroically protecting my beauty. And they love it. Like the real men love it. So, and not conquering women and using them. Like I had felt used and thrown to the side because it was, but it wasn't the fullness of what God wanted it to be. And so that's just about, I'm getting to the end of it, yeah. And the last thing I guess I wanted to say, yeah, authentic femininity, we hit on that masculinity, is I can stand here today and tell you that I have the same passion that I had when I was 17. I have the same desires for intimacy, for a husband, for all those things, because I'm normal, I'm human, and this way of life is not boring, it's not weird. It is weird because no one's on your side these days, but it is God's way. And like the realization I had, like if I'm gonna believe in this God, he knows what's best for me. If he doesn't know what's best for me, I'm out. Like I'm not even coming to mass, you know? And so God knows what's best for us. And that's why I'm so excited about chastity. I feel like it's central. Knowing what a woman is and knowing what a man is and knowing what sex is about, knowing what real love is like there is nothing more central to our lives. Nothing. And so the fact that this hall only has like 25 people in it is ridiculous to me. And we are the only organization in San Diego, like practically in Southern California, that talks about this. And it's central to my heart. Like, I'm sorry, when you're in traffic, like it's not the virtue, like it's not about patience and courage and bravery as much as it's about chastity. Like we want love and we want sex. And that's it. And this is the virtue that will take you to heaven with regards to those things. Right, Lisa? Okay, so Lisa's gonna continue on about a few other things.
Okay, thank you, Megan. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself as well, but my story is gonna start when, at the end of high school. I grew up Catholic and went to Catholic school my whole life. But the thing about it was I never really had a true relationship with God. It was kind of more of a head faith. Like I believed it all, I had been taught it all, but it didn't reach my heart. Until I decided that I was kind of done with school and I wanted to do something new. So before college, I decided me and my best friend were going to go to Mexico. So this is a picture here of where we went. This is in Acapulco, Mexico. We decided to go and teach English for a year to an order of nuns and brothers. This is a picture of them. You see them, they're so beautiful in their blue habits. But so we went down there, and I don't know, I wasn't really expecting much. I wanted to give, like my desire was to travel and to help people. But I went there and I spent this year with these people, and they gave me more than I could have ever given them. It completely transformed my entire life. And the reason they did is because living with these nuns and these brothers was the first time that I ever saw what it meant to live out the gospel. Like, the gospel means good news, right? And these sisters and brothers were just so full of joy and happiness and freedom and peace and love. And I just couldn't, I'd never experienced that. I'd never seen that in anyone before. And the fact that they were able to love in the way that they did just floored me and made me realize that there was something more to the faith that I had been brought up in. So, as I was there, you know, I was growing in my relationship with Jesus and like praying, going to Mass every day. I realized that that piece of bread, like, was God. It wasn't just a piece of bread, you know, and that changed my whole life. I realized that confession wasn't just me telling a couple of my faults to some guy, that I was receiving God's love and mercy poured out on me, and my soul was being cleansed. I remember the first time I went and made a good confession, it was in Mexico. And like I said, I've been Catholic my whole life, so, and I remember I just said everything, and I left the confessional after I'd been absolved, just tears streaming down my face, because I felt that like weight had been lifted, and then I was truly free. So another thing that I was learning was about like what it meant to truly have a pure heart. So the brothers that I was teaching, they were like the same age as me, a lot of them. They were around like 18, 19. So I obviously had to like kind of set up this like mental barrier, like they are going to be priests, and therefore I have to look at them in a certain way, you know? So I couldn't be like, oh, he's kind of cute, or I wonder if we'd be good together, or, you know, things like that. Which is what I would do with every other guy, mostly. I think a lot of us girls do that, you know, like we meet someone and we're like, oh, I wonder if he thinks I'm cute, he's pretty cute, like, I wonder if he's Catholic, I wonder if he wants kids, I think we'd be great together. We just like jump from one thing to the other. So with those guys, I had to be like, okay, can't do that, they're going to be a priest. So, but then what I realized is, well, I should probably not do that to any guy, really, because I don't know any guy's story. Like, I don't know if he's called to be a priest, or if he's married to someone else, or if God's calling him to marry another woman. So I shouldn't look at him as essentially like an object or someone that could satisfy my desires, but as a unique human person who has his own mission in life. And I may or may not be part of it. So I remember after I kind of discovered this, and I was like, okay, this is what it means to like have a pure heart, to be pure of heart. And I remember deciding like, okay, I'm gonna really put this into practice. So one day, me and the sisters were driving in a truck, which is my favorite thing to do because we got to drive in the back of the pickup truck. So it was like 30 blue nuns and me just hanging out. And it was awesome. So one day we're driving down the street, and I see out of the corner of my eye like this young man, and he had his shirt off, and I could tell just out of the corner of my eye he was good looking. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna look, because I know if I do, that it's gonna be with the wrong intention. So as soon as I made that determination in my mind that I'm not gonna look, I looked. And I was like, shoot, you know? Like, what the heck, you know? And what it made me realize is that I really wasn't in control of myself. I wasn't free. I was essentially a